Okay, what is up, y'all? It is me, Garrett, also known as the G-Meister. And there are a few of us who are waiting for these LGL power rankings for the season, but due to some mishaps from the people in charge, someone else had to step up to the plate and bring the people what they wanted. And so I have provided y'all with the power rankings. And let's get on with the show. Okay, the criteria. I'm gonna move my camera here right now. That should be good. The rest of the video put me dead center. But anyway, so because it's based, we're gonna score everything out of 69. The most important thing to me is type synergy. I think it's important to have your Pokemon be able to work well together. This includes cores like Fire, Water, Grass, Fighting, Dark, Psychic. Just things that make your Pokemon like really work as a coherent team. Type diversity basically just make sure your Pokemon aren't redundant in type. Like, if you have two ice types, one of them's a lot less useful than the other because you're probably only going to want to bring one ice type, if that. I don't think I need to explain that. Hazard game. Um, it includes setting hazards, removing hazards, and I also impacted how or I included how impactful hazards are to the team. I think that's important. Offense is simply how hard your team can hit. Defense is simply how hard your team can tank. Physical special split, I accounted for both attack, special attack, and defense and special defense. I tried balancing the two, and that's what that score means. And low tier utility is tier 4 mons and below, how useful they are to your team. Let's get on with it. Got to click? Okay, whatever. So unfortunately, in last place is Archaic Falcon, 16th. The score of 39 out of 69. The type synergy was really lacking here. So I in type synergy I value like the highest tier Pokemon, or I guess the lowest, like tier 1, you know. I value the best Pokemon in terms of building around your type synergy, and you have Gothita here, right? And cool, you have Machop and Krogunk to deal with dark types. Deal with bug types, you have to bring either Mantike or Litwick. And then you look at Axew, and you're like, what can Axew deal with for any of these other Pokemon? And it's like nothing. It just has first impression. Like, it's a fine Pokemon, but it like does not synergize at all with this team. It's like, yeah, the fighting types deal with ice types, but there's a gaping um fairy weakness, and it's like, yeah, you have Krogunk and Ekans, but it's like then there's redundancy, and that's where I get into the type diversity. It's Gothita and Solosis, then Machop and Krogunk, and then Krogunk and Ekans, as well as Psyduck and Mantike. I actually didn't notice that in grading, but I'll be a little bit easy on it. But due to these things already, there's like a major overhaul needed. Krogunk's pretty useless. I'd consider. I haven't looked at the tier 3 mons, but there's definitely something of more value. It's almost considerable to get Onyx over Gothita because you already have Solosis, but I can see you can also switch out Solosis. It just depends on how you want to construct your team. Um, Hazard game, 3 out of 10, pretty low. Probably the lowest on this list, actually. I think Yamask does Toxic Spikes. Codney does Defog. I think that's it on this team. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Um, Offense and defense are both really lacking. Like, you have Gothita to trap. Axew and Machop can attack, yeah. And then for defense, you have Mantike, which is nice. You don't really have much else. You have Intimidate on Ekans. A couple things have a little bit of bulk. I think Axie and Machop do. And then Physical Special Slit. It was highly physical. No, it was highly special. Look at all the free agents that are all special. The only physical mons were Axie and Machop. Maybe Ekans. Ekans doesn't really attack though. It's kind of a weird Pokemon. It's not bad though. But I will give props to this team. Its low tier utility is pretty good. It should actually be a 6 out of 7. I just realized because of the Mantike Psyduck thing. But everything tier 4 and below is a pretty solid Pokemon in my opinion. Like none of them are like duds. So maybe I would keep that at 7 out of 7. I don't know. I mean, Squab it, I don't know what the fuck it does, but eh. Team overall's not good, not gonna lie. Needs to make changes to succeed. Like, it's very exploitable right now. And on to team 15th place is Donutcat. Donut's running the Hail Core with Alolan Vulpix and Alolan Sandshrew. And although that is cool for Sandshrew, this team lacks a lot of things. Like for instance, if you look at just these top Pokemon, it's like you have Vulpix, Growlithe, Sandshrew, it just screams rock weakness. But yeah, you do have the Sandshrew to spin, and you can set Toxic Spikes with Marini, and Rocks with Sandy Gas, but it's like very linear team. I think that was my main issue with this team is it's extremely linear. Why not is good, but you know what it does. Marini's good, but you know what it does. Basically, all these Pokemon are locked into one thing. The type diversity is lacking. There's 3 waters, 2 ices, and that might just be it. Oh, and 2 poisons. The type synergy's meh. I mean, you have the Hail Core, but other than that, it's like you have a lot of redundancy. Like, or not redundancy, it's more so uselessness. Like, there's no grass type, which would probably help, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, that's just a problem with the Hail Core. Like, you probably need. I don't know, Marini does alright for negating some of the core's weaknesses, like fighting and fire. But I don't know. It's actually better than I thought initially, but I'd still keep the rating the same. A lot of unfinished cores. A lot of redundancy, which kind of locks you into a team, like, or a bad team. It's like you could bring 2 water types. Like if you bring like you probably are kind of forced to bring Marini every week with this team. And then it's like your other water types, it's like either you're adding on to a weakness or you're taking away from something else that could be useful. So that's like my main issue with the type synergy. And the low tiers aren't that good. I like Why Not and Riolu. That's it. Very physical team. Not very special at all. There's Vulpix and Growlithe, and then that's basically it. I think I've mentioned everything there. Let's move on. Then we have Smoliv. I thought Smoliv's team would be better, and I kept on trying to validate in my head whether it was dog shit or not. And I still don't know. I think a lot of these teams are good. I think this is like the first team that's like above average. You have solid type synergy with the Sun core, then it's like you decided to shit on it by adding Hippopotas, and it's like I've been trying to ask myself what that adds in terms of value, and it's like yay, Shieldon gets a special defense boost. Yay, my fire types don't resist water anymore. It's very strange. It's like yay, my weather ball's a different type now. It just doesn't make sense, to be honest. Um, have okay type diversity. I mean, it is a sun team, so you are gonna have um or no, it wasn't even that. It was that you had two ground types. That's three. You have Hippopotas, Gibble, and Trapinch. That's what it was. And then you also have the Ducklet and Seal thing going on. Just kind of fine. The hazard game's decent. You have Hippopotas for rocks, a good setter. Ducklet can defog. Shieldon can rock as well. Pidove can defog. That's the only problem is you kind of are forced to bring shitty mons sometimes if you want to get rid of hazards. Um, Offense is solid with the sun. Like Bellsprout's a good abuser of sun. Helioptile as well. I actually really like that part of this team. Trapinch is really good to deal with some of the threats. Um, Venipede speed boost Pokemon. I think that's pretty good. So I approve of the offense on this team. The defense though is kind of lacking. It's like very reliant on Hippopotas. You have Shieldon as well. It's like everything else is kind of frail. Like you can tank some things with Vulpix though, especially. Um, Speaking of which the special physical splits 8 out of 10. It's okay. It was mainly specially biased with the offense. Like you have Vulpix, Helioptile, Bellsprout. At the same time, it's actually more balanced than that. It's probably 9 out of 10. Unless I'm missing something here. I don't know. 8 out of 10 seems fine though. Low tier utility, 3 out of 7. It's like you have those defoggers, everything else is kind of garbage on this team. Like, I don't know what Muna does. What does Gibble do? I mean, Gibble's alright, but not on this team. There's two ground types already. Ducklet's good pickup though. Needed a water type. Um, Seal is just a mascot, doesn't really do anything when you have Ducklet, to be honest. Shieldon can set hazards, but is very offensively weak. And so that's why the low tier. Utility is 3 out of 7. And on to the next person. Here we have Pratty. I wish Pratty's team was higher, but honestly, everything that's this point is like you're already with Smoliv's team. It's like there's good things, it's just who has less bad things. Um, Type synergy 10 out of 12. I really liked the Mischievous Doduo core. I really like the Fire Water Grass core of Lileaf, Shelter, and Scorbunny. Um, there was a flaw. I think it was that if you want to bring like for some of your mons to like have sufficient coverage, you have to bring some pretty weak Pokemon. Like, or is it a different team? Let me look real quick. Yeah, it's like if you want a good fighting type, you kind of have to bring Crabrawler, to like deal with normal types. Well, it's a weird team. It's like not that bad. It just doesn't do anything well. It's like to synergize with Snubble if you want something to deal with poison types. You'd have to run Silly Cobra. That's what it was. Yeah. Um, Type diversity is pretty solid. Basically, everything's a different type except there was overlap with Lileaf and Geodude A. Hazard game, I put 4 out of 10. I didn't like how your Pokemon are kind of forced to do different things other than Lileaf and Geodude. It's like, yeah, those can throw rocks on the ground. I guess Silly Cobra can too. But other than that, it's like you're forcing Shelter to spin. Because Doduo doesn't get defog. So it's like, it was the removal that's super weak on this team. Because it's like you almost have to ruin Shelter's purpose to spin. But at the same time, this team isn't too hazard weak. So it's kind of meh. The offense is good though. I like Mischievous and Scorbunny especially. Shelter's a good Shell Smasher. Doduo's hard hitter. Snubble be decent. Intimidate. The defense is also pretty good. It's okay. It's 7 out of 10. I mean, like things like Shelter and Mischievous have like good stats, right? But it's like you don't want to use them for defense necessarily. But I do like Lileep a lot. I do like Intimidate on Snubble, as I mentioned. I think Galarian Meowth is actually underrated. I think it'll get some use. I mean, Baconater showed how good it was last season. Physical special splits 6 out of 10. There is a lot of physical on this team. Like you have Mischievous and Lileaf, but other than that, everything's physical. The low tier utility is pretty good. Like I like the for Brawler pickup, Meowth G especially. I think Rattata A is pretty good. Geodude's also a good pick. I think it was a good pickup with having to drop Stuffle. Carablast, I don't know what it does in all honesty. I didn't even bother checking. I don't think it provides much to this team. It's like Lileaf already resists or is neutral to. Oh, wait, no, I'm on crack. Never mind. It just isn't that useful, I don't think. But I'd love to be proven wrong. But 13th place. Now we have Geyser's team tied with Praty's. This is a team that I thought would be ranked higher when I initially was going through things, but there's a few teams here where there's a lot of good Pokemon, but it's like they just don't really work too perfectly to me. Like type synergy is pretty good on this team, 10 out of 12. The problem I found was that there was a lot of flying types on this team. You have Volibee, Noibat, and there's 3, I swear. Am I on crack? And Spearow. There we go. Yeah, that was for type diversity, but the type synergy, it's like, okay, for Volibee, there's kind of this electric weakness with Volibee and Tentacool I saw. And it's like you're forced to run Sandshrew, which is a pretty mediocre Pokemon. It's like the only thing that resists. Sizzlipede, it's quad weak to Rock with Volibee, but you have like a million Defoggers and Sandshrew to Rapid Spin, and you can set Toxic Spice with Tentacool, Rocks with Bronzor. You can also defog with Timber if you really want. I like that part of the team. Really good hazard control. The offense I found lacking. Like Bronzor and Tentacool are kind of sitting ducks, and I don't. It's good for defense. Like you have really strong defense, but it's like, what the hell are you hitting people with? Like Timber and Meowth. The problem I see is that your team's super easy to counter. Like, I wish it was. It looks like it would be better initially, and this team I think got the lowest low tier utility rating at 2 out of 7. I think a lot of these low tiers don't add much. I think the tier 4s are all right, but Noibat, Pichu, and Spearow, even Cubchoo, I don't think they add much to this team at all. I think like every single one of them could probably be replaced with something better. Solid physical special split. Like defensively, it's split pretty well. I think offensively, other than Timber and Meowth, or wait, what was it then? That part might be wrong. I'll be honest with you. I kind of did this pretty fast. Physical special split seems alright. I mean, you have some special attackers, you have physical attackers. That's fine. It's like 7 or 8. So I apologize, guys. You should be. Actually, that would change things a fair bit. But there's like a group of people that are all within a few points. So it's like, depends on what you want to nitpick at, but 6 out of 10 is very low for that. Because you do have Timber and Meowth, but other than that, nah, I'm actually gonna stick with the 6 out of 10. It might be a 7 actually, but it's like you can run physical Volibee, I guess. It's just a really strange team, in all honesty. But on to the next person. Now we have tied for 11th. First person is Hydreigon, score 51 out of 69. I really like this team defensively, and you wouldn't immediately think it's that good, but you have, if you run bulky Mienfu, right? And then you have Spritzy. I think Spritzy's a very good pickup. I like Fampi as well. You have Drowsy and Yamask. And Chinchou. They all form this kind of like defensive core where you can do things with it. Like you have options with your defense, which I really like on this team. But the type synergy is very strange. Like nothing like really meshes super well with Mienfu. It's like there's a lot of solid Pokemon on this team, but they just don't like. It's like really strange. Like I don't know what you do with Mienfu here. Or like what goes well with Mienfu. Like nothing really does. It's like you should have built around Mienfu a lot more, in my opinion. I guess you have this fighting dark psychic core of Mienfu, Drowsy, Houndour, but it's kind of like meh. I like Houndour. You have this really weird Firewater Grass core as well. It's a lot of very flimsy cores and nothing that really goes too well together. But there is fairly good type diversity if you the only issue is actually Chinchou and Krabby. And the offense is also decent. The problem is a lot of your hard hitters are kind of slow. Or no, that's just Krabby. But there's Minccino, Houndour, Mienfu. They're decent. They don't really synergize too well, but on the other hand, the defense, there's a lot of choices. I think I mentioned that already. Physical special split. Everything was actually pretty evenly balanced. Like, kind of just alternates down the line if you look at them. But I will say the low tier utility could be better. I do like the tier 4s. I don't think Starly and Weedle are. I guess Starly's okay for defog. That's why the hazard game was 6 out of 10 because you have Fampi as a good setter, but it's like your defog options are kind of bad, and you have toxic spikes on your mask, so that's okay. But other than that, it's pretty lacking. Then tied for 11th is Dumb Trash. This team I thought was a lot worse until I actually looked at it. It's actually not bad at all. Very good type synergy. Like you built around your best Pokemon, and I think that's the most important thing, which is why type synergy is out of 12. Like Ghastly, for instance, you have where is it? Weak to dark types. You have no fighting type. What? Oh well. Well, oh, you had Larvesta to deal with the dark types. I liked that. You had the Larvesta, Clamperl, Deerling, Fomantis, Paris. I don't understand the point of all three of those existing. They're all grass. Deerling's pretty ass. I think I like Paris the most out of all those is the funny thing. Type synergy should probably be 10 out of 12. Or, no, it was that Aeron has a quad fighting weakness. Ghastly can deal with that. A lot of things worked well, surprisingly. Like, you have Grimer, which resists some things for Aeron and Clamperl. Arch and Sandile are interesting as well. I don't know, actually, the more I look at this team, the type synergy's too high. It should be 9 or 10. Type diversity's meh. You have double poison, double rock, double ground. Do you have double ground? No. You have triple grass, though. This team should be lower. It's probably a 49 out of 69. I think type diversity and synergy should both be down 1. Hazard game, 5 out of 10. You have Aeron the set. It's like, I guess you could with Sandile and Archon as well, but then the problem is, like, all your defoggers suck. Like, you don't want to defog on Talo or Archon, really. And it's, like, kind of crappy that you have to rely on, like, 25, like, really, Archon, I don't know. It's a strange situation with your hazard removal. The offense is good though. You have Ghastly, Clamperl, Larvesta, Tailo, Archon, and Sandile. I really like all those Pokemon for attacking. I think they can do a lot of damage. On the defense, you're solid as well. You have Aron and Grimer. There's a gaping ground weakness there. You can put Eviolite on Larvesta, it can do some things. The physical special split's decent. Your best attackers tend to... Ghastly and Clamperl are both special, and then there's a lot of physical other than that, basically. So that's why that's only 9 out of 10. Actually, should be 8. This team got rated too high. Low tier utility, 3 out of 7. I'd say that Tailo is a good Pokemon. I think one of those grass types can be useful, and other than that, I think they're garbage. Now we have Bahnfire at 11th. Type Synergy 8 out of 12. I really liked the Porygon Drifloon thing going on. And you have a solid Fire, Water, Grass with Wingull, Fungus, and Magby. I thought that was really good. And type diversity is also pretty good. You have 2 flying types though with Drifloon and Wingull. And then you also have... where was it? Oh, Wingull and Piplup. So there's some redundancy with Wingull there, but at the same time it's a good Pokemon, so it's not too bad. Hazard game 5 out of 10. You have solid removal except like you eat all your removal is weak to rocks is the main issue. And then you can set with Roggenrola. It's kind of yucky. Offense 7 out of 10. Porygon can do damage, Teeny can do damage. Magby can do damage, but defensively it's a lot better. You have Drifloon, Fungus. I really like that pair. You have a lot of things that can pivot. Porygon also can tank some things. The physical special split's 10 out of 10. Very balanced defensively and offensively with attack stats. You got Porygon to attack specially, and then Dratini to attack physically. You know, things like that. In the low tier utility, I think 4 out of 7 justified. I liked Clobbopus and Flabebe. I like this. You have a whatchamacallit. You have a fairy type for your dragon, or other way around maybe. I don't know. Roggenrola is useful. Bergmite's useful to spin. Like, a lot of them, the picks make sense. Is the good part of them. Piplup could probably be thrown out for something else, though. But, it's tier 5. How much does it matter? Okay, this team ranked higher than I thought it would, but Billette's team is very threatening. The offense is the main thing that stands out. You got Abra, Snivy, Zigzagoon. Squirtle can even Shell Smash. Tyrant. Sturdy Dragon Dance. Rufflet's a good Scarfer. Charmander can do some things even. The type synergy is only 9 out of 12. You have this bug weakness. No, but that bug weakness is well covered by the rock types and Rufflet. There was something wrong with this. What was it? Got this dual water type thing going on. Dual water, dual rock. That's why you're 7 out of 10. There's probably one more thing. And dual normal. Hazard game's good though. You got the Surskit going on, which really helps enable your strong attackers. You have a lot of things that can set rocks as well. You have Snivy to defog if you so choose. Trying to figure out what I didn't like in type synergy here, because I know I did everything for a reason, so. I don't know, you have a good fire, water... Oh, that could be it. No, kind of a meh fire, water, grass. No fighting type that I see. Yeah, those are probably the reasons I put it low. The cores are meh. Not the Firewater Grass, but more so the Fighting Dark Psychic. Except for Abra. Oh, there is no Dark. That's what it was then. That core's, like, missing. Offense, 10 out of 10. You already know why. Defense, 4 out of 10. That's this team's biggest problem. It's pretty hyper offensive. I didn't like the fact that you almost forced yourself to run defensive variants of a lot of these Pokemon just because otherwise you can't tank shit. Like, Squirtle's probably gonna have to be defensive. Tyrant might have to be defensive every now and then. Like, you have Duskull, but it's like, you have so many good Pokemon here. It's like, you really want to sacrifice bringing something for Duskull? Like, Geodude's okay, though, but there's a lot of things that are just kind of forced to be brought. It's my main issue. The low tiers, though, are 6 out of 7. I do like the Geodude, Duskull, Teddiursa. Basically all good except Wurmple, but you win some, you lose more, right? And now we got Yven, or Yven, Yven. Go with Yven. I like that the most. It's Ivan with a Y. 54 out of 69. Gave 8 out of 12 for type synergy. At first it looked really good. Like, you had all these different types, and then I look at your team and I notice, like, these are a lot of good Pokemon, but they don't really build around one another. Like, Cutiefly, what covers fire weakness, and you have to go all the way. Or no, you have Staryu. Oh, it was a ground weakness. It's like the problem with this team is it's too reliant on Staryu. I remember now. It's like if Staryu dies or Staryu is not brought, this team falls apart. Like you have ground weakness, you need Staryu. Fire weakness, you need Staryu. Everything just relies on Staryu because you don't have a good ground or rock type to deal with some of those other issues. Like you have Larvitar, which is like your only rock setter as well, which is like really yucky. But you do have good removal with Staryu and good web setting with Cutiefly. Type diversity is pretty good as well. The only redundancy was not Smoochum. No, it was Smoochum and Esper. I don't even know if that should count, but I guess so. I think I only didn't count type diversity for tier 6s because they're pretty pointless. Offense, 9 out of 10. You have really good things that enable offense. Elekid, Honedge, Mankey, Staryu, Zorua, all very good Pokemon. And the defense is also solid. Honedge can tank things. Staryu. Staryu's probably forced into a defensive pivot on this team, to be honest, but it's still solid. Esper can do some things. I think Larvitar's okay, but I don't think it's that good of Pokemon. I think it's rock ground and it's just a crappy Geodude, to be honest. Without sturdy. Physical special split 8 out of 10. You had a lot of special attackers on this team, I noticed. And you have, I guess you can run physical Elekid. Honedge, Mankey are physical. Other than that, it's like, I guess Larvitar, Rattata, but they're both very weak. But I did like your low tier utility, especially. I think all your Pokemon serve a point on this team. Like, Esper, Badoo, help fill out cores. Same with Cyndaquil. Larvitar provides rocks for you. Rattata, I just think, is a better tier 6. So, for those reasons, why you're 54 out of 69. This team I thought would be higher, but I ended up only putting it at 7th. It's 54 out of 69, and it's Weebo's. Type synergy is 10 out of 12. You have a really strong Firewater Grass with Grookey, Slowpoke, Salandit. And then there's a really lackluster fighting core. You're fighting Dark Psychic if you exclude Pancham. You have Mime Jr. and Impidimp. Very strange. It's like if you exclude, there's like a lot of good Pokemon on this team, but they don't really mesh too well together. Is what I found. Like, for instance, Grookey and Pancham both have a flying weakness, and it kind of forces you to bring Nose Pass if there's a team with a lot of flying types, which isn't too bad. Mudbray synergizes well with Grookey though. Bit of an ice weakness, but Slowpoke and Pancham can deal with that, I suppose. I don't know. I guess it was mainly that core. It felt like some of the weaknesses were relying on bringing lower tier Pokemon. Type diversity 9 out of 10. I think there was just redundancy with I guess it could have been Impidimp and Poochyena, but I think there's something. Oh, and Mime Jr. and Impidimp. It was a combination of all those. And then Slowpoke also being psychic. Hazard game 6 out of 10. Nosepass is a good rocker. You can run rocks on Mudbray. I don't really see how you get rid of hazards other than Defog Pick-a-Peck, which seems very mediocre. I think you can run Toxic Spikes on Salandit though. The offense is pretty good. You have Grookey, which can Swords Dance, or it's just already a strong Pokemon with Grassy Glide and whatnot. Salandit has a solid special attack stat and speed stack. Baniri can do a lot more damage than people anticipate. Pick-a-Peck's a good skill link Pokemon. Mudbray and Pancham are also very hard hitters. On defense, it's 8 out of 10. Grookey can tank some things, Slowpoke especially. Mudbray with stamina. Nosepass as well. Overall, very solid offensively and defensively. The physical special split, though, is a bit more lenient towards physical. Like, you have Slowpoke and Salandit on special, but everything else is pretty weak that's special attacking. In low tier utility, it gave 4 out of 7. I like the tier 4s. I think Impidimp and Mime Jr. are kind of redundant. Mareep's, I guess, just to have an electric type. Poochyena solid, though. But I think it was that Impidimp and Mime Jr. were both very redundant picks. Though Impidimp is a good Pokemon, just, doesn't need to be on this team, in my opinion. Okay, now we have Toby, 5th place, 55 out of 69. This team has a lot of strong Pokemon. And it's our first 10 out of 10 type diversity. The only overlap is Wimpod with Dwebble and Goldeen, but it's like, I don't think this team ever brings Wimpod. It's no big deal. 8 out of 12 on Synergy, though. Like, the big thing I saw is, like, you have Natu for this fighting weakness, but, like, all the fighting types have knockoff, right? So, you force Natu in this, like, nothing really tanks a fighting type attack on this team is my issue. Like, you have Aipom, Magnemite, Stunky, Diglett. Like, there's an inability to deal with fighting types, I think. But very good offensively. Aipom, Magnemite, both really strong. Dwebble can Shell Smash. Diglett's a good trapper, one of the best. Bagon can Dragon Dance. Overall, very good. I like the offense. The hazards, pretty solid. I like Dwebble as a setter. Natu has Magic Bounce. Stunky can Defog. Diglett might be able to rock, technically. But who rocks on Diglett? You have Chimchar as well. Solid. Then the physical special split, 8 out of 10. I think it was defensively on this team. Or what was it? I don't know, it's overall defensively lacking. You have Dwebble and Natu, I guess, but it's a more offensive team for sure. There's not really anything that's physically defensive besides Dwebble. But, or I don't know, Magnemite's probably a bit bulky. Or I know it is. And then low tier utility, 5 out of 7. I liked Chimchar, Makuhita for fighting type. Stunky and Goldeen are both great tier 4s in my opinion. Skiddo is also a solid grass type to round out that core, even though it is a pretty weak water grass fire core, which is what goes into the type synergy why it's a bit low. But it's up there. And now these next 4 teams I think are a lot better than the rest of these teams. Like, every team so far has been pretty good, or at least from 14th to 5th. I think these next 4 teams are above the rest by a fair amount. First, we have Baconator's team. This is where we get 60 plus total score. Type synergy and type diversity are both maxed out. He has a very strong fighting psychic dark core, probably the strongest the league's ever seen, with Farfetch'd Galar, Ponyta Galar, and Alolan Grimer. And then he has Corphish, Litleo, Rowlet, which is it's good enough. It's like the cores add up to a great score, and these Pokemon all compensate for one another very well. Like even the with Munchlax, for instance, you have Sinistea if you really want that duality of normal and ghost. Hazard game though was this team's weak point in my opinion, and it's because everything relies way too much on Pineca. Like it rapid spins, it sets rocks, it sets spikes. And sure you can set rocks with Amara, I guess. But you're forced to bring Pineco way too much in my opinion. I don't like that at all. Makes the team very exploitable. The offense is 7 out of 10. Like you have Farfetch'd, Galar, Ponyta Galar, you have Corphish, Munchlax, Cubone, but the problem I found is a lot of these strong hitters are slow, besides Farfetch'd, basically. You do have priority Aqua Jet and Corphish, though, but it's very exploitable. The defense I found to be very good. I like the bulk on Ponyta, Grimer, Munchlax. Cubone has a little bit of bulk as well. So the defense is a bit better. The physical special split's spot on. Everything's basically balanced out there. And I think all the low tiers add something to the team here. I think Venonat's a sleeper, especially for tier 6. Though it is made redundant by the other Pokemon on this team. On to 3rd place. It is me! 62 out of 69. I really like the type synergy on my team. The first Pokemon I drafted were Ferroseed and Yanma, both very, very weak to fire, but I doubled down on water types. I got Tortuga and Frillish, which I think actually added a lot to this team. Adds a very good defense as well. The type diversity is 9 out of 10 simply because of the Frillish and Tortuga. I have a very good Firewater Grass core, Ferroseed, Frillish, and Torchic. Or Ferroseed, Tortuga, and Torchic. Both are very strong. And I do technically have a fighting Psychic Dark core of Stuffle. Where is it? Oh, Stuffle, Baltoy, and Zigzagoon. Not the best, but it's good enough. Like, all these Pokemon really compensate for one another, I feel. Like, for instance, Stuffle's weak to Psychic. I have Yanma to deal with Psychic types. And Frillish. I have, like, all sorts of cores here. I even have a Dragon Fairy Steel core. Ferroseed, Togepi, and Goomy. Type diversity, 9 out of 10. I already mentioned why. I think this team might be the strongest team for hazards in the league. I think it's tied with I think the other two teams are also very strong hazard-wise. Ferroseed's just immaculate for hazards, both rocks and spikes. Spinnerack provides webs and toxic spikes as well, can be a very good sack lead. I do have 2 Defoggers in Yanma and Torchic, but I also have Baltoy as a spinner, which is very good for enabling Yanma to do what it needs to do. The offense I put as 8 out of 10. Although I don't have the strongest Pokemon, I do have 2 speed boosters and Tortuga, which can really tear through teams. I think they're both very threatening. The physical special split's 10 out of 10. I have good physical defense, good special defense, good physical attack, and good special attack. But the one thing I think my team lacks the most is good low tiers. Other than Baltoy, Voltorb, and Spinnerack, like Togepi, Goomy, and Zigzagoon are pretty meh. I guess you could argue that since they're part of cores, they're better, but I think they're only okay. Then we have Gandhi's team, tied with mine for 3rd. His type synergy is 11 out of 12. The reason for this is his Fire, Water, Grass is pretty weak. Like, Litten, Shroomish, Panpour is okay, but other than that, his Pokemon really synergize well. He built around Swirlix well with Drillbur. That's a very good start. Coughing does really well. Can add a ground immunity if need be. Has neutralizing gas. It's very good. Good type diversity. Only overlap is Elgium and Beldum, which shouldn't even really count. Which is why I gave it 10 out of 10. Hazard Games is immaculate. Sticky Webs on Swirlix. Rapid Spin on Drillbur. Toxic Spikes on Coughing. Very strong. Even though it's pretty straightforward, it's all on very strong Pokemon, which I think is important. I put the offense at 8 out of 10. You have Billy Drum on Swirlix. You can sweep with Drillbur sometimes in the right circumstances. Scraggy has Moxie and Intimidate. Very interesting Pokemon. There's even Gale Wings on Fletchling, though that was nerfed. I like the Parting Shot assistance with Wooden. I think it's a very strong offense overall from those things. The defense is a bit worse, but not by much. I like Coughing, as I mentioned. Drillbur, Swirlix, Elgium. These are like these Pokemon have pretty solid stats, but they're not like the best things to rely on is my main issue. The physical special splits perfect though. A lot of physical, a lot of special attackers. Same with defense. And low tier utility, I think my only problem was I think Beldum's just kind of useless. But it's a tier 6. It's kind of inevitable. And now for the grand champion of Garrett's base power rankings, the fan favorite Jamal. Edged out the other two runner-ups by 1 point. I think Jamal is the best team this season. 12 out of 12 type synergy. I really like what he has with Dupiter, Morlul, and Ponyta. Very strong core. Poniard goes well with Metatite. He has good type diversity. He is overlapping with Bidoof and Skitty and Anorith and Dupiter, but they add things to the team. I think it's totally worth it. 10 out of 10 hazard game. Webs on Dewfighter. Rocks on Poniard and Anorith. Probably gold as well. You can Rapid Spin with Roly-Poly or Anorith. And Defog with Pidgey if you really want to. A lot of options on this team. Offense and defense both 9 out of 10. I really like Poniard and Ponyta. They add a lot. I think they're very diverse Pokemon, which make this team really strong. Same for Dewfighter as well. Morlul actually has a solid special attack stat and special defense stat. Only problem with it is that it's slow. Metatite, great priority. I think this team's really threatening. Good physical special split. Poniard, Ponyta, Metatite, physical, while you have Dupiter, Morlul, and special. I should actually probably... No, I think that's fine, because you have options on this team to run like some of these Pokemon can go special or physical. Low tier utility, 5 out of 7. I think Skitty wasn't a necessary pickup here. Pidgey is okay. Roly-Poly's okay, but kind of a redundant pick type-wise. But overall, a very great team. But that's the end of these rankings, y'all. Thank you very much for watching. Hope y'all respect my opinion, though I don't really care either way. What else is there to say? Not much, really. Hope y'all enjoy this as a precursor to Goose's video, which will probably be of much better quality, but I think gave some pretty good takes here, so hope y'all enjoy.